Hi, English learners. Welcome to English Unlock the Oral Mastery. Think of this as your daily dose of inspiration, where learning English feels like a breeze and improving your life feels like home. I'm Daniel.
And I'm Jenny.
So today, we're tearing apart that agonizing 3-second pause. You
Yeah.
know, um, you know the exact one I mean.
Oh, yeah. Everybody knows that pause.
Right. Someone asks you a simple question in English, and suddenly your brain just freezes.
Just completely stops working.
Exactly. You furiously translate their words in your head, you formulate your answer in your native language, and then you scramble to find the English words.
And by the time you finally open your mouth, well, the conversation has already moved on.
It's the worst feeling.
We
But we're going to fix that today.
really are. Because, that delay is the single biggest frustration for almost every English learner out there.
Absolutely. You study the grammar, you memorize all the vocabulary.
But speaking still feels like this massive struggle. So, our mission for today's deep dive into the source material is to just unpack the secrets of completely stopping that internal delay.
We really need to look at the mechanical error in the brain that causes it, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then look at how you can train your mind to think directly in English. Because once you bypass that need to translate,
You truly unlock your oral mastery.
exactly.
But before we can explore the methods to fix the delay, we first have to really understand that mechanical error happening in the background.
Right. We have to know what's broken before we can fix it.
Exactly. We need to look at what keeps us locked inside our native language, even when we actually know the English words perfectly well.
So the sources provided to us today call this the translation trap.
The translation trap, I like that.
It's the perfect name, honestly, because when you translate in your head, your brain is essentially working twice as hard as it needs to.
It's doing double the work.
Right. It's like a factory running a really inefficient assembly line. First, your brain forms a complex thought in your native language.
Right.
Then the assembly line just stops. Your brain has to open up this mental dictionary and search for the exact English match for every single word.
Wow.
And only after all that exhausting labor do you finally push the words out of your mouth.
That sounds like a mental marathon just to say hello.
It really is.
And it totally destroys your confidence.
Yeah.
Because you feel like you're making the other person wait.
You feel that pressure building up.
Yeah. And the sources use this fantastic analogy for this constant mental switching. They say that translating in your head is, it's like riding a bike with training wheels that are way too heavy.
Oh, that's a great way to look at it.
Right. Like when you first learn to ride, you think you need those wheels to feel safe.
Because you're afraid of falling.
Exactly. But eventually, those heavy training wheels just slow you down. They drag on the ground, they make the whole ride feel incredibly awkward, and they prevent you from ever feeling the natural balance and speed of the bicycle.
That's a really powerful way to visualize it because thinking directly in English solves this problem entirely. You just bypass your native language completely.
You just take the heavy training wheels off.
You take them right off. You don't build the foundation of the sentence in your first language and then, try to paint over it with English.
You just build it in English from the start.
Exactly, from the very first thought. And because the words come out instantly, your confidence naturally skyrockets.
What fascinates me, though, is how this doesn't just improve your speaking. Taking off those heavy training wheels also completely transforms your listening skills.
Oh, it absolutely does. It's huge for listening.
Right, because when you're stuck in the translation trap, listening is an incredibly stressful activity.
Oh, it's exhausting. Someone speaks to you, and instead of just absorbing the information, you're actively translating their incoming English words back into your native language just to understand them.
And the problem is, human beings speak fast.
Very fast. By the time you finish translating their first sentence in your head, well, they're already speaking their third sentence.
And then you fall behind.
You fall behind, you panic, and you just lose the thread of the conversation entirely.
You're constantly living 3 seconds in the past.
Yes. But when you train yourself to think in English, that entire process changes.
How so?
Instead of actively translating those incoming words, your brain simply processes the raw English meaning directly.
Okay, so like if you hear the word apple,
Right. If you hear apple, you just picture the red, crunchy fruit in your mind. You don't think of the word for apple in your native language first.
the meaning goes straight into your brain's visual center.
Exactly. And there's another major danger with the translation trap that we really have to discuss.
What's that?
Sometimes a direct translation simply doesn't work at all.
Oh, right, because different languages are built with completely different structures.
Exactly. If you rely on those heavy training wheels and translate word for word, you can create massive confusion.
The sources actually have a brilliant example of this, and it really highlights the danger.
Oh, the cold room example.
Yes. Let's say you're sitting in a freezing room and you want to tell your friend, I am cold.
Right.
But if you take that phrase and translate it word for word from certain languages, the literal result comes out as, I have cold.
Yeah, I have cold. And if you tell a native English speaker, I have cold, they will completely misunderstand your situation.
Because in English, the phrase, I have a cold, means you are physically sick.
Exactly. It means you have a virus, you're coughing, you're sneezing. It absolutely does not mean you are feeling chilly.
The native speaker will probably offer you cough medicine instead of a warm blanket.
Exactly. And this perfectly shows why the translation process is not just slow, it's actually dangerous to your communication.
It frequently produces the wrong meaning.
Which is exactly why we need to remove the native language from the process entirely. We have to stay in the English zone from the moment the thought is born.
So, knowing all of this, how do we actually do it?
That's the big question.
Right. Since we know those heavy training wheels are slowing down the brain and causing embarrassing mistakes, how do we take them off?
Well, this brings us to a highly practical, step-by-step breakdown. Our sources outline 6 clear steps to train your brain to stay entirely in the English zone.
Awesome. Let's walk through them.
So step 1 is really the foundation of the whole process. The rule is label your world.
Label your world. Okay.
You can start doing this the second you wake up. Look around the physical space you are in and identify the objects you see directly in English.
So, when you look at the furniture where you sleep, don't think of the native word.
Right. Just look at it and think, bed? Look at the glass letting the sun in and think, window.
I really appreciate how accessible this is. I mean, you can practice this silently anywhere you go.
Oh, totally. Waiting for a bus, walking down the grocery store aisle.
Yeah. But the sources suggest a really great way to level this up.
Right.
Instead of just thinking the static name of the object, you should connect it to a physical action.
Oh, yes. This is a great tip.
Like, don't just stare at a cup and think the word cup. Think to yourself, I am holding a cup.
Adding that action is crucial because you're forcing your brain to build a complete natural thought. You're creating a tiny self-contained story entirely in English.
I love that.
And once you're comfortable silently labeling the objects around you, you need to push that internal label out into the real world.
Which brings us to step 2.
Right. Step 2, talk to yourself.
Actually using your vocal cords to speak to an empty room.
Yes, out loud. You need to describe your daily actions to yourself using your voice.
So as you get ready for the day, you can say, I'm putting on my shoes.
Exactly. When you look outside, you can announce, it's a sunny day today. You essentially become a sports announcer for your own normal everyday life.
I know a lot of people will feel really silly doing this.
Oh, definitely.
It feels strange to walk around your kitchen talking to the walls. But, and this is your daily dose of inspiration, so let me remind you of the most important fact here. Nobody is listening.
Nobody at all. That's the beauty of it. You are in a totally safe environment.
Because you're completely alone, your mistakes simply don't matter. If you use the wrong verb tense, who cares?
Nobody.
If your pronunciation is a bit clumsy, it's totally fine. You are just exercising the physical muscles in your mouth and the neural pathways in your brain without any stress, fear, or judgment from native speakers.
Exactly. It removes the anxiety that usually causes the delay.
So true.
Now, step 3 requires a major behavioral shift for most students.
Okay, what is it?
Step 3 is ditch the translation dictionary.
Whoa, wait. Ditching the translation dictionary sounds terrifying. I'd imagine staring at a definition filled with even more words I don't know would just make me want to quit. How do we avoid that frustration?
It feels scary at first, I know. But let me explain the mechanism of what actually happens in your brain. You need to switch exclusively to an English to English dictionary.
Okay, like a dictionary made for learners.
Yes. These are specially designed for learners, using very simple vocabulary to explain complex words. When you use a translation dictionary, you build a mental bridge back to your native language.
You're constantly walking back and forth between two different rooms in your brain.
Exactly. You're feeding the translation trap.
Ah, I see.
But let's look at the source's example. Imagine you're reading an article and you see the word excited.
Okay, and let's say I don't know what it means.
Right. If you use an English to English dictionary, the definition will say something like feeling happy and eager.
Ah,
Now, your brain is forced to form a spatial association entirely within its English center. You connect the unknown word excited directly to the known word happy.
so your brain starts building this tangled web of English vocabulary where words only connect to other English words.
Exactly, you stay completely inside the English zone, and the native language is totally locked out of the process.
That neural web is what eventually creates fluency, isn't it? The
Yeah.
words start triggering each other automatically.
Yes, that's exactly how it works.
Okay, let me pause and push back on this for a second. We have labeling your physical world, narrating your life out loud, and using an English to English dictionary.
Right.
How do we actually start doing all of this without feeling completely overwhelmed on day one? I mean, it sounds like a massive amount of mental exhaustion.
That's a very fair and relatable question. It's incredibly easy to feel overwhelmed when you try to change how your brain processes reality.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot.
And that perfectly introduces step 4, which is the ultimate secret to avoiding that mental burnout.
Okay, what's step 4?
The rule is think in simple sentences.
Simple sentences. Just keep the thoughts small and manageable.
Yes. When we exist in our native language, we naturally form massive, highly complex thoughts. We think about the distant past, the complicated future, and the deep emotional reasons why we're doing something.
Right. Our brains are very active.
But when you are training your brain to think in a new language, you must start incredibly small. You can't try to be a deep philosopher on day one of thinking in English.
That makes perfect sense. Don't try to plan a complex political debate in your head while you're just making breakfast.
Exactly. Let's use a practical example. Imagine you are walking to the grocery store. In your native language, you might naturally think a very long thought like, I need to go buy some fresh vegetables tonight because I really want to make that special soup for dinner tomorrow when my friends arrive.
That is a beautifully complex thought. But yeah, it's way too long for a beginner to process directly in English.
It will absolutely trigger the delay. You'll get stuck halfway through trying to find the precise English word for special or arrive, and suddenly,
Suddenly the heavy training wheels are back on.
exactly, you'll freeze. So instead of trying to translate that massive paragraph, you break the thought down into its most basic, primitive building blocks.
Okay, so what would you think instead?
You just think, I need vegetables. 3 simple words. I need vegetables.
Wow, that feels so much lighter. It completely removes the pressure.
It really does. You successfully completed a thought entirely in English, and you did it instantly without any mental exhaustion.
And as your neural web grows stronger, I imagine those simple sentences will naturally expand on their own.
They absolutely will, but you must permit yourself to start small. And this natural growth leads us to step 5. Develop an inner voice.
By inner voice, you mean that constant stream of consciousness we all have, like the little narrator inside our heads that talks to us from morning until night.
Yes, that exact running commentary. For most learners, that default narrator speaks purely in their native language.
Naturally.
So step 5 is about gently reprogramming the language of that internal narrator. You want to start having small, private internal debates entirely in English.
Like asking yourself simple everyday questions.
Yes. For example, you stand in front of your closet in the morning. Instead of thinking in your native language, ask yourself in English, what should I wear today?
Okay.
And then answer your own question, maybe the blue shirt. No, it's cold outside. I'll wear the thick sweater.
It's like having a tiny, dedicated conversation partner living permanently inside your brain. You
Exactly.
don't need to schedule a language exchange or hire a tutor. You can practice real communication with this inner voice anywhere, at any time.
It's the most consistent practice you can possibly get.
That's brilliant.
And finally, we reach step 6. This is the glue that makes the other 5 steps stick permanently.
Or hit me.
Step 6 is immersion.
Immersion, meaning you completely drown yourself in the language. You jump into the deep end of the English swimming pool.
Drowning yourself in a good way? Yes. You need to surround your daily life with English media. Now, a lot of people think you have to buy a plane ticket and move to an English-speaking country to do this.
Right, which isn't possible for everyone.
It's a total myth anyway. You can create a highly effective, immersive environment right inside your own apartment.
You can play English music in the background while you cook dinner. You can watch English movies without the subtitles in your native language.
Exactly.
And, of course, you can make it a habit to listen to deep dives into the source material, just like this one.
Every little bit counts. Let me explain the biology of why this works.
Oh, please do.
The human brain is basically a survival machine. When you constantly flood your ears with English audio, the brain starts to recognize the sounds, the unique rhythm, and the recurring vocabulary.
Okay.
Because it's constantly surrounded by this data, the brain is tricked into believing that English is absolutely necessary for your daily survival.
Wow.
So it stops fighting, it stops trying to translate everything back to the native language and simply switches over to accepting English as a primary source of reality.
It's basically a life hack for your brain.
It really is.
Okay, let's take a breath and look at where we are. We have 6 powerful steps. Label your physical world. Talk to yourself out loud. Ditch the translation dictionary for an English to English one.
Right.
Protect your energy by thinking in simple sentences. Reprogram your inner voice. And immerse your environment in English media.
Those are the 6.
Knowing these 6 steps is half the battle. But just knowing the theory isn't enough to actually rewire your brain, is it?
No, the theory alone won't fix the speaking delay. Turning these 6 deliberate steps into an automatic, effortless brain function requires something much harder.
What's that?
It requires strict consistency.
Consistency.
Yeah.
Showing up and doing the work every single day, especially on the days when it feels incredibly difficult.
Yes. And part of that consistency is knowing exactly how to react when you inevitably hit a solid brick wall.
Because you will hit a wall.
Oh, I promise you, you will hit a wall. You'll make silly mistakes, your brain will feel tired, and you will get stuck searching for a word.
So how do we practically build this daily consistency without burning out? The sources highlight a really interesting daily technique for this. Let's dig into the 30-minute no translation rule.
Yes, this is a fantastic, highly focused daily exercise. You take your phone and you set a timer for exactly half an hour.
Okay, 30 minutes.
During those 30 minutes, your brain must operate on a strict English-only policy. Absolutely no translating in your head and no opening your phone to check a word in your native language.
Wow.
You completely banish your first language from your mind for half an hour.
That sounds incredibly intense. I imagine a lot of learners will find themselves just staring blankly at the wall, struggling to form a single thought during those first few attempts.
They absolutely will struggle. It will feel very uncomfortable. But we must emphasize a critical psychological shift here. Struggling during this 30-minute window isn't a sign of failure.
It's not.
No, it's actually a sign of massive success.
Why is struggling a good thing? Usually when we feel mental friction, it means we're doing something wrong.
Not when you're rewiring a brain for language. When you struggle to find a word or form a thought without translating, it means your brain is actively building new biological pathways.
Like exercise.
Exactly. Think of it like going to the gym to lift weights. If lifting the weight feels easy, your muscles aren't growing.
Right.
You have to lift the heavy weight that makes your muscles burn. You have to sweat. That uncomfortable mental friction you feel during the 30 minutes is the exact feeling of your brain growing stronger and faster in English.
So the struggle is literally the physical feeling of the translation trap breaking apart in real time. That's a brilliant way to reframe the frustration.
It changes everything when you embrace the sweat. Now, another incredible tool for building consistency is keeping an English journal.
Okay, how does that work?
Every night, right before you go to sleep, sit down and write out your goals for the next day, or just quickly describe a few things that happened to you that afternoon.
Just a few short sentences.
Mm.
Again, remembering step 4 and keeping it simple.
Exactly. And the golden rule for this English journal is this: your entire focus must be on the uninterrupted flow of your thoughts. You must completely ignore the desire for perfect grammar.
So no stopping to fix mistakes.
Right. Do not stop your pen to check if you used the right verb tense. Just let the raw English words flow out of your head and onto the paper.
Because if you stop your pen to worry about a grammar rule, you'll instantly fall back into translating to check if it's correct.
Exactly.
The goal here is speed and momentum, not passing a grammar test.
You're training your brain to trust its instincts. Just get the thoughts out.
But what happens when you get completely stuck and just don't know the vocabulary word? What if I'm doing my 30 minutes of English or writing in my journal and I want to talk about an object, but my brain goes completely blank?
This is the most crucial moment in a learner's day. This is where we use the strategy for getting stuck.
The strategy for getting stuck. I like the sound of that.
When you don't know a specific word, your brain's natural panic reaction is to reach for your phone and translate it from your native language. You must absolutely not revert to the native language.
Don't translate. But if I don't translate it and I don't know the word, what do? Just stand there in silence.
No, you use the basic English words you already know to describe the physical object or the abstract concept. You simply talk around the missing word.
Oh, the sources have a really humorous example for this, and I love it. Let's say you're standing in the kitchen.
Okay.
You want to talk about the big, heavy machine where you keep your milk and your fresh vegetables, but your mind goes blank and you completely forget the word refrigerator.
Honestly, refrigerator is a long, awkward word. Native speakers forget it sometimes too.
Right. So instead of stopping your entire English flow to pull out a dictionary and translate refrigerator,
Mm-hmm.
you just describe what the machine does. You can confidently call it the cold box for food.
The cold box for food. It's a
Yeah.
perfectly logical, understandable description. If you turn to your friend and say, hey, please put the milk back in the cold box for food, they will know exactly what you mean.
They really will.
They might smile at your creativity, but they will absolutely understand you.
And more importantly, you didn't break your mental momentum. You kept the English engine running smoothly.
Exactly.
You stayed safely inside the English zone, even when you lacked the perfect, precise vocabulary word.
That strategy is so vital because it teaches you mental flexibility. It proves to your brain that having a perfect dictionary-level vocabulary isn't always necessary for perfect human communication.
I love that so much. The cold box for food.
Yeah.
It's simple, it's highly creative, and it gets the job done without those heavy training wheels.
It really does.
But we have to be honest with our listeners. This whole process of rewiring the brain, well, it takes real time, doesn't it?
It takes significant time. I want to remind everyone of a very famous proverb mentioned in our sources. Rome wasn't built in a day.
Rome wasn't built in a day. That's a beautiful phrase to keep in your back pocket.
It reminds us that truly great, enduring things take time to construct. A magnificent historical city like Rome took centuries of careful daily building,
Yeah.
and a fluent bilingual brain isn't built in a single afternoon either. You are literally building a complex new neurological city inside your mind.
You can't expect to wake up tomorrow morning and suddenly narrate your whole life perfectly in English. It's a gradual journey of 1,000 small steps.
Exactly. Some days the words will flow like magic. Other days your brain will feel foggy and it will feel very difficult.
That's just part of the process.
But you have to remember that every single small thought you process in English is a massive win. Every time you look at a window and think window, instead of falling back on your native word, you have won a biological victory. You have to celebrate those small wins.
Every single time you successfully describe a cold box for food instead of panicking,
Hmm.
you are one major step closer to true oral mastery.
That's the exact mindset you need to succeed.
Wow, we've covered some incredibly powerful ground today. Let's briefly recap the main ideas so you can take them with you.
Good idea.
We learned how critical it is to escape the translation trap. Translating in your head forces your brain to work twice as hard, running a slow assembly line that creates that frustrating, confidence-killing speaking delay.
And we escape that trap by consistently practicing 6 foundational steps.
Right.
We consciously label our physical world in English. We bravely talk to ourselves out loud without any fear of making mistakes. We ditch the translation dictionary and force our brains to build neural webs using an English to English dictionary.
We protect our energy by thinking in simple, short sentences. We slowly reprogram our inner voice to debate in English. And we trick our brains into survival mode by immersing ourselves in English media.
Exactly. And to guarantee these steps actually rewire our brains, we maintain daily consistency.
By using the 30-minute no translation rule to sweat and exercise our mental muscles.
Right. We write in an English journal to practice the smooth flow of our thoughts rather than obsessing over perfect grammar.
And most importantly, when we hit a wall and forget a word, we absolutely never translate, we just describe it.
That's a perfect summary of the formula. If you apply these specific tools every single day, I promise you, that painful speaking delay will slowly start to vanish.
The heavy training wheels will finally come off.
They will.
Before we go, we want to leave you with the final provocative thought to mull over. We really want you to think deeply about the refrigerator example we discussed.
Okay.
If you can successfully communicate complex instructions about a refrigerator by simply calling it a cold box for food, consider how incredibly powerful you already are right now.
That's a deeply fascinating perspective to consider.
Think about it. Consider how many other seemingly complex, massive ideas you can already express today.
That's so true.
You don't need to wait until you painstakingly memorize 10,000 new vocabulary words to start living your life in English. You can communicate so much of the human experience simply by unlocking, trusting, and creatively combining the basic English vocabulary you already possess.
You already have all the tools you need inside your mind. You just need to trust them enough to speak.
What a wonderful, empowering thought to end on. You already have enough English inside you to start deeply connecting with the world today.
Exactly.
We want to hear directly from you. Which of the 6 steps are you going to try today? Are you going to start silently labeling the objects in your bedroom?
Or are you going to bravely start talking to yourself out loud in the car on the way to work?
Let us know in the comments. We love reading about your daily progress and your personal victories.
Thank you so much for spending your valuable time with us today. Remember, every step forward, no matter how small, is a victory.
We'll see you next time for another deep dive into the source material. Keep thinking, keep speaking, and stay unlocked. Bye.